So guys, this is the man exposing terror financiers in Nigeria. During the time of Buhari, he came up with an investigation that he did and ended up with so many names and those financing terrorism both within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. And because he leaked their secret, guess what? They forcefully retired him after arresting him and like putting him in jail or in detention. You know, later for them to release him, they handed him his retirement letter that he had to go. He has come out again. He has been speaking on Arise TV, and I'm going to be sharing with you one of the videos that he shared. He is insisting that, you know, many northern elites are the ones sponsoring terrorism. Like you can see, Sahara Reporters published this headline yesterday saying, terror suspect alleged financiers were linked to powerful Nigerians, including ex-Agf Malami, former army chiefs, others, army chiefs, not one, others too. This is coming from a major general of the Nigerian army, although he has been retired. You know, they forcefully retired him. Not that he retired because he was due for retirement, but because he exposed some people who were sponsoring terrorism. Guess what? They forcefully retired him. I'm just going to allow you to take a look at his own part of the story. I'm going to be sharing another video of his in another video, but take your time and listen for yourself all that he said in this video, just for you to know that terrorism is not going to end in Nigeria. Northerners are the ones sponsoring these terror groups, and it is the northern elites, not even the fighters in the bush. You know, these are even like the secondary problem. The main problem, the primary problem is you know, those who are sponsoring these people. These are the elites in the north, and you can see they've started mentioning names. In the next video, I'll be sharing more names that, you know, that have been exposed. But take your time and watch this video just for you to know that the north, they are the ones pushing for Nigeria to fall to Islamic states by all means. And why is Tinubu not bold enough to expose them? Tinubu is afraid for his life. Tinubu is afraid for his second term. Tinubu is afraid let the North not hold him responsible, and that is why you can see there is no political will. It's not as if Tinubu does not know what to do, but people call him master strategist. We are yet to see that strategy in fighting insecurity. With all this exposure coming out now, with all this information out there, tell me what Tinubu is still waiting. You know, what is keeping Tinubu from taking the right step? Just because he's afraid for his life, he's also afraid, you know, so that the North does not reject him come 2027, and that's why he's sleeping on the list for those who are sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. But take your time and watch this interview. I'll be bringing another interview of this man for you to see all the details that he's dishing out, that the APC government cannot hide again. They are the ones involved in all these things we are seeing today. All those under Buhari and under this Tinubu's government, a whole lot of them. He has mentioned Malami now. He has also mentioned army chiefs, just like CDS, former CDS, Lucky Erabo said recently on Channels Television that politicians, some politicians are the ones sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. Now another army general is here to share another story again, just to confirm what you know, General Lucky Erabo said. Take your time, watch this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Now take a look.
I was thrown out of the army 2021. So I don't know.
When you say you were thrown out, what do you mean?
I was compulsory retired.
Right.
You know, I mean, there was an operation which I led, the Operation Service-wide, the counter-terrorism, you know, to arrest those terrorism financiers, if you recall.
Right.
It was all over celebrated by even the former president, the former Attorney General Minister of Defense. When they came out and said we arrested, we picked the terrorism financiers, sponsors, all that. I was the commander of that, and I reported straight to the district. And they were in detention, and that was when we even picked, as a matter of fact, the leader of Boko Haram. The leader of Boko Haram was not Shekau. Shekau, you know,
was
died.
a spokesman, more or less, at the time.
Yes, the poster boy, so to speak. But the real leader, we captured him. And incidentally, or ironically, he's not even a Nigerian, but he claimed he's been in Nigeria for some time, but he's not a Nigerian. So, anyway, we arrested those guys, and they were in detention. We were collaborating with so many countries. About 3 countries, a key Western country, the United Arab Emirates, and we got a lot of intelligence from them. we picked those people. Some were picked from the battlefield, from the front line. Some were even outside the country. We picked them, and they were in detention. And then waiting for them to be prosecuted. Then in September, October 2nd or thereabout, next thing I was invited, said for interview at the military police headquarters. And I went there on the 18th, and I was arrested myself and detained in a cell.
What for?
I don't know. I was 10 initially. When I reported there, the interrogators said when I was removed as a general officer commanding on the 8th of August 2021, I handed over on the 10th of August 2021, 2 days later, because the posting came via signal posting in the night. I became aware of it the following day. That was on the 9th. So on the 10th, I handed over and left and continued with the Operation Service Wide, that one that I reported to the design. The Operation Service Wide was a multi-agency and military, organizations that were this, and the DSS was there, the NFIU was there, the NIA was there, the DIA was there, and other this, and I was the head of that organization, and I reported straight to the president, and we picked those people, those top, this thing, including the leader of the Boko Haram, including 5 of the key guys of this thing. I was invited, and then when I got there, they said I was removed as a general officer commanding. That was, like I said, on the 10th of August, and I didn't report to the resource center, the Nigerian Army Resource Center, where I was supposed to listen. And what really happened was that when I was removed, I reported straight to the presidency, and I said, okay, this was what they said, do not report, that they were going to address it.
Right.
And this thing. So I didn't know it was set up. They kept on listening. I tried to report, they refused to listen. The former president is there. There are people there in the presidency.
Well, I have to say, that part of it sounds very complicated,
yes,
because we don't really know the background and everything, yes, to it.
To unmasking prominent Nigerians allegedly financing terror and oil theft. Why do you hold this view? Allegedly so. And do you know, one would ask whether you know them. If true, what do you think is responsible for the past administration's attitude, regarding this so-called financiers of terror?
Okay, thank you very much again for this brilliant question. Now, let me, relate to my experience, right, as the commander of the Operation Service Wide, which was an intelligence-driven outfit. Now, like I said, we picked the main leaders and other facilitators, financiers, sponsors, and this. And then we commenced investigation.
By picked, you mean you arrested?
Arrested, captured, arrest, Now, we picked them. That is, it was a collaborative effort, those elements that I mentioned. And investigation was ongoing, and the investigation team was made up of representatives from the Department of State Services, from the Defense Intelligence Agency, from the military police, that's the army aspect of it, from the NFIU, the investigation, and it revealed so much. And like I earlier said, right, certain intelligence was shared. We were collaborating with about 33 countries in Europe, Western Europe, Asia, and other distant were collaborating with us and distant. Now, in the course of the investigation, we stumbled upon names of individuals, prominent individuals, and some of them are still prominent, and including the owner of an airline who was ferrying weapons allegedly for Boko Haram and other reasons. So those information, we took our concern made our concern known, the investigation in terms of interim listing to the powers that be at the time. And some of those people were linked to even cabinet ministers. Some of the people were even arrested. Some of the people who were investigating were linked to them. Were linked to senior military retired now of generals and the rest, just linked to many prominent distinct. And in the course of our investigation, I mean, we now, let me just add also, we had 3 representatives from the Attorney Generals of the Federation Office, that's Minister of Justice, that were with us to guide us while we were making the case, so that because ultimately the Office of the Attorney General was to prosecute
those you arrest.
Right. Now, but as the thing progressed, I mean, we started noticing some kind of how should I put it? We noticed some kind of hesitation. I mean, things started coming up like, okay, some of these people, I mean, it would be difficult to pin terrorism financing on them, perhaps money laundering. I mean, look, then you started getting some calls that some people, you know, prominently that you should release, so person is not this and that, something. This. As the commander, I made my concern known to the president, late President Muhammad Buhari. I made it when I said, so this, and I recall on one occasion, he stood up, very angry. He said, General, I appointed you as the commander of Operation Service Wide. You report to me and to me alone. That was his exact words to me. Then General Muhammad Buhari, a great man. I mean, of course, he had his shortcomings. I was very angry when the whole thing happened, and I mean, he didn't even raise a finger to this thing. But I later came to realize, you know, that perhaps he was misled.
You say Atahiru devised a strategy, the late Chief of Army Staff,
yes,
to end terrorism in the north. Fill us in on this strategy. Is it being implemented now?
I don't know whether that strategy is implemented. Before delving into that, let me just say that the military and other security agencies are doing fantastic work. They're doing their best. They have challenges. Perhaps I'll come to that later. I mean, they listen, but they are doing their best, and they have a lot of challenges. Now, the strategy is nothing fantastic to say. I mean, it was just sincerity. Now, we had the OSW, which was on, right? It's set up in 2020.
You actually headed the OSW,
yes,
and the mandate was to dismantle the terrorism financing network in order to fight against terrorism and insurgency. Will it be correct to say that you could not achieve that mandate?
No, we achieved.
Or that you failed?
No, we achieved. Because we achieved to an extent. Because we arrested the leadership of the Boko Haram, just like I said, the leader. I don't want to mention his name because I'm not too sure, but I understand, I heard from the grapevine that he was released along with the 5 key guys. And that leader of Boko Haram, just like I said, the United Arab Emirates shared that intelligence with us. I know, with all this. And he was the one who even recruited the 6 individuals. They were jailed, 2 for life, 1 for 30 years, 1 for 20 years, another one for 10 years, and another one for 5 years, the 6 of them. He was the recruiter of this thing. And yet, right, that man I learned, he and the 5 other guys who had this thing were released. I don't know for what reason. I don't know what reason. They were never prosecuted, not to the best of my knowledge. I don't know whether they were this, but they were never prosecuted. So, you see, those were kind of the fear, if I may use that term or word, the fear that one has over what has happened right now in terms of the arrest of those leadership. We hope that the thing we see will come to fruition. Yes.
You had written to the president concerning your arrest, detention, and compulsory retirement over what an investigation task force you headed unearthed. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, like I I was arrested on the 18th of October 2021 and detained for 64 days under terrible condition, stripped of all my dignity. I mean, stripped. You know, a general being my headgear removed by a soldier, my boots, I was left barefooted, and in a cell. I mean, it was a terrible situation. And then on 21st of December 2021, they came to release me and they handed over my letter of compulsory retirement. And I made effort to get across to the late former president. And let me just add, as bitter as I am, as pained as I am over what Buhari did to me, as I said, I realized that he was naive. He was misled, and for that I forgive him, you know, and I urge anybody who has this thing, if it's on account of me, to forgive him for these things. But anyway, coming back to that, on the I made strenuous effort to have that injustice corrected. It wasn't. Now on June 7th, 2023, that was exactly 10 days before my late mother passed away. She died on the 17th of June. Along the Kaduna-Abuja highway, I and my driver, we survived an assassination attempt. We were pursued by 2 vehicles, and at a point I had to call the commander of the troops along that highway, whom was appointed at the time. I was the general officer commanding 1 division, and they came, and that was what we were able to get away. You know, that was the 4th attempt. And on that, when that thing happened, of course, you can imagine my state of mind. I mean, 2 years after I was thrown out of the army, nothing done, this, and so I now wrote to the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I wrote, and I passed the letter, you know, through a reliable listen to get across to him, because I didn't want to send it through the open mail. I never wanted this thing to be in the media. So that was, it was signed on the 21st of June 2023. Nothing was done. 6 months later, if you recall, January 2024, last year, that was when the news first broke, this day, and then you invited me to arise, and I came and listened. Then,
I'm afraid my time is up. We didn't have time to talk about the Presidency Institute, yes. BOI, which again you heard it was convened here, like you said, by the NSA, uncovering 295 oil tankers that convert petrol with major oil smugglers identified.
Now you are watching.
Thrown out of the army, 2021. So I don't know.
When you say you were thrown out, what do you mean?
I was compulsory retired.
Right.
You know, I mean, there was an operation which I led, the Operation Service-wide, the counterterrorism, you know, to arrest those terrorism financiers, if you recall.
Right.
It was all over celebrated by even the former president, the former Attorney General, Minister of Defense. When they came out and said we arrested, we picked the terrorism financiers, sponsors, all that. I was the commander of that, and I reported straight to the district. And they were in detention, and that was when we even picked, as a matter of fact, the leader of Boko Haram. The leader of Boko Haram was not Shekau. Shekau, you know,
was
died.
a spokesman, more or less, at the time.
Yes, the poster boy, so to speak. But the real leader, we captured him. And incidentally, or ironically, he's not even a Nigerian, but he claimed he's been in Nigeria for some time, but he's not a Nigerian. So, anyway, we arrested those guys, and they were in detention. We were collaborating with so many countries, about 3 countries, a key Western country, the United Arab Emirates, and we got a lot of intelligence from them. We picked those people. Some were picked from the battlefield, from the front line. Some were even outside the country. We picked them, and they were in detention. And then waiting for them to be prosecuted. Then in September, October 2nd or thereabout, next thing I was invited, said for interview at the military police headquarters. And I went there on the 18th, and I was arrested myself and detained in a cell.
What for?
I don't know. I was 10 initially. When I reported there, the interrogators said when I was removed as a general officer commanding on the 8th of August 2021. I handed over on the 10th of August 2021, 2 days later, because the posting came via signal posting in the night. I became aware of it the following day. That was on the 9th. So on the 10th, I handed over and left and continued with the Operation Service-Wide, that one that I reported to the design. The Operation Service-Wide was a multi-agency and military, organizations that were this, and the DSS was there, the NFIU was there, the NIA was there, the DIA was there, and other this, and I was the head of that organization, and I reported straight to the president, and we picked those people, those top, including the leader of the Boko Haram, including 5 of the key guys of this thing. I was invited, and then when I got there, they said I was removed as a general officer commanding. That was, like I said, on the 10th of August, and I didn't report to the resource center, the Nigerian Army Resource Center, where I was supposed to listen. And what really happened was that when I was removed, I reported straight to the presidency and I said, okay, this was what they said, do not report. That they were going to address it.
Right.
And this thing. So I didn't know it was set up. They kept on this thing. I tried to report, they refused to this thing. The former president is there. There are people there in the presidency.
Well, I have to say, that part of it sounds very complicated.
Yes.
Because we don't really know the background and everything to it.
Under President Bola Tinubu, Nigeria faces key challenges shaping its present and future. Observers continue to evaluate the state of democracy, noting both progress and concerns about governance and transparency. Insecurity remains a pressing threat, with communities across the country calling for decisive action to curb violence, kidnappings, and banditry. Meanwhile, relations with the United States are under renewed focus as both nations explore cooperation in trade, security, and diplomacy. Recent ambassadorial appointments signal Tinubu's intent to strengthen Nigeria's global presence and deepen partnerships, reflecting a broader effort to position the country strategically on the world stage.
Well, for more on this, we're joined in the studio live by Dr. Akin Faponda, who is the Director of Research of the Afenifere, a socio-political Yoruba cultural group. He's also a public affairs, policy, and governance analyst. Dr. Akin Faponda, thanks for joining us live on Daybreak on Arise News.
Good morning, viewers.
So, many people find the country at a critical crossroad, and some have defined this as a moment of truth. There have been some saying that the narrative points that some people must have sponsored the institution of insecurity for 15 years, for it to have been sustainable for 15 years. Do you think it's time to start naming the sponsors of this heinous act?
Actually, we are not going to the root of our problems at all. I served in Kanu State in 1975, 50 years. In BUK, then you see swarms of small boys trying to even eat the food you are eating on the table. Almajiris. Anybody who is alive in that time, no skills, no school, nothing. Between the age of 30 now, 40 and 50, they are the ones carrying the AK-47 all about. We are not going to the root of the problem. It's not to celebrate General Musa as a very good person. Competent, no doubt. But rather than call sociologists and call people who really know human behavior, we want to shoot our way through this problem. I'm not convinced that we are on the right track.
What's the right track?
The right track is as I told you now, we have 50-year-olds that I witnessed who have never gone to school. Their father is in Sokoto, they are with Malam in Maiduguri or in Lafia. No parental guardian, nothing. They are just on the streets. Grew up to 40 years of age, grew up to 45 years of age. Are they just going to melt away? They can't just melt away. It's a social problem. It's not a guns problem at all. If you really want to go to the root of the problem, in my own opinion, the leaders of the North have not addressed the issue of how they promote their Majiri system. Their own children cannot be, my own child cannot be a Majiri. But they are so self-centered and they ignored all the children of the North that are not be going to school all these 50 years or more. What's going to happen? Nobody's talking about it.
Dr. Fakbonda, you've really given us something to reflect on. The root of our problems and the fact that we haven't solved our political issues, which will now help us to solve the social issues that you're mentioning. So let me take you back to politics, you know, back in 2022, before the general elections in 2023, when Afenifere endorsed Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party from the Southeast, excuse me, against candidate Bola Tinubu from the Southwest. In fact, the late Pa Ayo Adebanjo seemed to be the arrowhead of that support for Mr. Peter Obi, although we had figures like Chief Ruben Fashoranti, who supported Tinubu. When you reflect on that today, does Afenifere regret that decision to support Mr. Peter Obi? Because he did say that it was in the interest of fairness, equity, and balance for the Nigerian project, and that is important to us living as a country in unity and advancing forward.
My brethren Yorubas, they think and behave as if we are in Udua Republic, where Yorubas can be entitled, they can be a Milokan, can be our Lokan. But the Nigerian landscape belongs to everybody now. So, Obasanjo has served 8 years. And so, Professor Vice President has served another 8 years as whatever. If we want to be inclusive and bring the whole country together, it's only the Igbo that have not been president. And Afenifere, my own faction, our own faction, believes in equity and justice. Once you have rigging your way, snatching your way, and getting into position, you are not even prepared. It's clear that our president now is not even prepared to govern from day one. Why are you appointing? In fact, you also have a battle list ready before you are sworn in. If you have economic diplomacy, you also have trained them on what you have asked them to go out to achieve. But it came in just one slogan: fuel subsidy gone. And then we went to sleep. Can you imagine the cost now, the ambassadors now? Do you know each one of them with their wife and children, how much business class ticket we have to pay? Can you imagine how many dollars they have to be given to the extra code? And they have less than 1 year to serve. A terrible waste of the system. If you had an orderly system where, as far as everyone wanted, Obi, nobody can doubt his capacity, nobody can doubt his competence, nobody is perfect as a human being. At that time, he was the candidate for the time. The nation decided to do otherwise, and we are paying the price today, so unfortunately.
Now, you've spoken about ambassadorial appointments, and I want to ask you my next question on that. So do you think Tinubu's ambassadorial picks are based on competence or political rewards?
Well, let's have two categories. The career ambassadors, that's the peak of their career in service. They're supposed to have gone for 4 years term to serve the country properly. But they will not be hurried out. And in the next election, if Tinubu wins, some of them might be retained, but they have to be recalled again. Imagine the waste. So their careers have just been truncated. They have been lying idle for the last 2 years, just rotting away in Abuja. As for the politicians, it's just the good, the bad, and the ugly. I really cannot pick anyone seriously that is of the nature of Christopher Kolade, ambassador of commissioner in London those days. You cannot think of it. But the worst part is that in the next 4 months, it will take 4 months before they even be on post, because the countries have to agree to be ambassador before they will accept. They have to stand by when they are waiting for them to present credentials of their nomination. So the next 4 months is a waste in terms of resources, in terms of time. When you do something in a hurry, rush, you fail and fumble. It's so regrettable that we have this situation.
Yeah, Dr. Akin Faponda, I think it's time we also reflect on our model of democracy, because now there have been a lot of accusing fingers to President Tinubu on the presidential list. And we look at the Constitution, it gives, in section 171 of the Constitution, it gives him that power to appoint ambassadors, high commissioners, and principal representatives in foreign mission. That's one. But when you look at the model of democracy, fundamentally, it's like it thrives on inclusion. And so that brings us to the democratic process where politicians will have invested their money and all that, regardless of their ethical standard. And now that puts the president in a kind of dilemma for a kind of political patronage. So what would another president or a better president had done in this circumstance, given this controversial situation where he's torn between appointing career diplomats, people of impeccable characters, and also falling into the pitfall of political patronage, given our model of democracy and our style of democratic process?
In all honesty, I've on this channel counseled that we need to pause the political system. We are in the wrong direction. We'll keep going. Look, if Tinubu wins 2027 elections, all the decampees now that are decamping now, they are in line again for appointment. Once you fail or you lose election, you lose Senate, you have to be made the ambassador. The INEC chairman now will also have to make ambassador. I mean, we are following money show the day. We are in the wrong course of recycling these old people that are really tired. What we have now is politics of banditry. You predate, you fight your way, you become a senator, become a governor, and you just have to do all that it takes at all costs. This is not the right way to govern. We need to decentralize the power of the country. The president, we always say, is so powerful. What is the use of the power? He can't sit more than on a bed at a time. He cannot ride more than one jet. What is the big deal about this power that somebody cannot be reasonable? But we are suffering. Look how much money has been spent on kinetics. How much is a bullet, as General Musa said? You fire a bullet, how much does it cost? All the soldiers are in the bush. We are not even talking about education. Nobody is talking about roads. Nobody is talking about artificial intelligence, which the world is embracing now. We are just living on predatory life of survivor. We need to really pause and spend the next 1 year to discuss the way we are living. But like it says so, are we together? How do we be together? When we do that, then all of us will have a sense of inclusion. And the best minds will volunteer. You don't need to spend 100 million to get a form.
Yes.
You don't need that. We need to reform the system fundamentally and strategically.
You mentioned one of the brilliant minds from the Southwest, Chief Bola Ige, the late Chief Bola Ige, who died in a very, very terrible circumstances. I'm not even sure whether his killers have been found. But let me look at Afenifere again, your organization, whose ideology is based on that of the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, that advocated a philosophy of fairness, justice, and national well-being. So for some time now, it would seem that President Bola Tinubu is emerging or trying to emerge the Yoruba leader in the mode of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Does Afenifere see him in that light?
Well, the Yorubas are very, let me not say sophisticated. Anybody can say whatever he wished. In the minds and hearts of Yoruba people, we know who is selfless, we know who is intellectual, we know who loves himself as he loves the others. It is true that our president now engineered himself. He used all means possible including Muslim ticket, including splitting Afenifere into two. But Afenifere, we were 11 in the executive of the Afenifere properly. Only 2 defected to Tinubu's side. The 9 of us are still intact in the Adebanjo fashion. It's a fact. So Afenifere is, we believe in welfareism. You know, freedom for all, life more abundant is the motto of Afenifere and it stands. When Abanation now because Tinubu has seized the political space, and can anybody say this and Awolowo will have produced blueprints in advance of coming. We know what's happened in 1979. UPN states were ready to govern under Awolowo direction. The same thing allowed for democracy too. But this haphazard governance and waking up and doing things, subsidy or no subsidy and all that, it's not Awolowo style. Nigerians should know it. Yorubas also know it too.
So you're essentially saying that President Tinubu was not ready to govern and is not ready to govern and is not doing well.
It's not me saying it. We already have 2 years of it. It's not me saying it. The facts are there. We now have evidence, empirical evidence. If I were to remove subsidy, I would have prepared all the palliatives in advance, automatically. How many CNG buses are on the road now? How many CNG buses? The only signature project of President now is the road from Lagos to Calabar, the road from Sokoto to Badagry. But in Yoruba areas, where are the roads? Osun State is down now. The governor is being strangulated. Is that an Awolowo mantra to strangulate your own area too? Osun State is down. It's dying. And Tinubu is watching. It's unfortunate.
Now, based on what you've just said, it has become quite apparent that public trust has been lost along the way. What actions do you think could be taken to regain and rebuild to boost the public trust once again?
The patriots visited President Tinubu last year. He affirmed that he wants to do economics, that politics will come later. He has done economics now. He has passed tax fraud reform. The tax reform, we are going to see a lot of crying when it comes to effect, but let's leave that aside. I still plead for President Tinubu to change gear. We have to look at the politics of Nigeria. He said, economy first, politics later. This next year is for politics. And the blueprint is there. It's just to send a bill to National Assembly to say, authorize for a new constitution to be debated and agreed on. By May, it could be done. By October 1, it could be effective. We should not go into the next election with this predatory system that we have now. Let him even plan to retire. 4 years enough as president of your country now. Must he be Paul Biya of Cameroon? It doesn't have to be. How many months did the Murtala rule the country and we see the impact everywhere? How many months? Awolowo actually ruled Western region only up to 1959. He ruled from 54 to 59. And we still have the impact up to today. So if he can just bequeath a new polity on Nigeria in the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, all his sins will be wiped away in my own record.
Okay. Now, as the ambassadorial designates, now we understand that they'll be facing the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, Foreign Relations for their screening, and afterwards they'll be taking their oath of office. So let's just tie down that as they prepare for their tour of duty, bearing in mind that Nigeria's foreign influence dwindled within the last 2 years of not appointing ambassadors, they're creating gaps in our economic diplomacy, citizenship diplomacy, and also shuttle diplomacy. What should be our main diplomatic focus as they prepare for their tour of duty?
In actual fact, I'm not privy to any document that says this is the thrust of Nigerian foreign policy. We know the time of Ike Wachuku when it was economic diplomacy during the Babangida years. We knew the trust of the foreign minister.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking this is that I read the Renewed Hope foreign policy and it was a bit untidy, a bit scattered. So that's why I was asking what should be our main foreign policy thrust as the ambassador prepared for their next tour.
Well, we are aligned to China a little bit. America is fighting back about it. We don't know whether we are non-aligned or aligned. There is no definitive position on Nigeria's trust. Africa used to be central focus of Nigeria policy. We don't know anymore. Foreign Affairs Minister, who is he now? I'm not asking. I know his name, but has he made a major speech? Has NIA in Lagos be committed to produce a blueprint on the trust? We are indebted. We are in loans with China. America is now putting us backward. They want to replace Chinese in mining. What have we decided on that as a country? What is our interest? Okay. We have not decided. So again, in the next 1 month or two, while they are seeking agreement for the postings, there has to be a small panel with Nigerian Institute of International Affairs to articulate a coherent navigation between the West and the East, the Chinese and the American. But it's not clear now at all.
Okay, let me take you up on what you said about the Constitution. You talked about the Patriots and their proposal, which you believe the president should take up or listen to. Are you implying that the current National Assembly Constitution review makes no sense, it's not valid?
They want to amend the Constitution in 83 places. If you have a cloth that is used and you are a stone, and you want to patch it up in 80 places, why not just throw it aside and write an elegant constitution? We have a draft already. Nigerian constitution should not be more than 20 pages, federal. Relation between the federal and the regions or states. Then each region or state should go and craft its own constitution. Nigeria is not one nation, but we are in the same territory, no problem about. Let everyone go and do what suits them under Nigerian territory. So we need to have a federal draft. We need to have a state or regional draft. The Yorubas are different from Fulanis. The Hausas are different from Fulanis. Yes. It's nothing negative at all. We are just different. And even resources is different. North is farming. The south is crude oil. Middle belt is solid minerals. Even to focus on that,
okay,
it will be different.
So that is Dr. Akin Fapunda. Thank you very much, who is the Director of Research of Afenifere. He's also a Public Affairs Policy and Governance Analyst. Thank you for joining us today on Daybreak. Thank you for your time, sir.
Well, and that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. I'm Benga Ashuru. Thank God it's Friday, and goodbye from me.
And I'm Constance Ikoku. Thanks for joining us on Daybreak today.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Goodbye.
So guys, it's really a pathetic situation for Nigeria because the fight against insurgents is going to get more difficult. Seeing that names are being mentioned, people who are supposed to be building are the ones destroying. And the worst part is that everything is politicized in this country. For the fact that the Tinubu's government is not even willing to fight terrorism is another big challenge. You know, it's another big challenge. Anyway, let me read out some of the reactions from Nigerians. This person here said the truth is coming out small. The vital question is this. If those that prescribe IPOB and kidnap nnamdi Kanu are now linked to real terror financing, is it not obvious that nnamdi Kanu is the good guy? Can the citizens demand for his release? Honestly. Really, really so sad to hear that Malami is among those who are sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. If that be the case, why did Malami? This is the same Malami that said banning open grazing is like banning sale of spare parts. These are all Fulanis that came into Nigeria, and they don't have any good plan for the country. Their own is just to Islamize the country at all costs, you know. Now, this one here says, I will say it now and still in the future that Buhari was responsible for Nigeria's fate today. His rate of Fulani attacks and spread of terrorism occasioned by Boko Haram activities to other parts of the country. He knew all this, but yet rewarded Tokai Brutai with ambassador. You see? He rewarded him with ambassadorial position. Now, wow. Coalition of criminals. One arrested nnamdi Kanu. One suggested he be jailed for his own presidential ambition. One is allegedly funding them. And this person say they should investigate them, and if found guilty, they should be sentenced to death as soon as possible. No need to jail them. I know they support Malami. I know they support Brutai. I know they support anybody we then call for here. But it get one kind pattern wey dem show face. Just few months ago, Malami declared for ADC. Next, the next thing, EFCC carry am enter their matter. As if that one no do, dem add am say he himself dey finance terrorism. Former Attorney General of a federation. Now, so Brutai writes Tinubu open letter last month about weakest link today. Weakest link. Today again, story don't turn. Say Brutai to okay, Brutai wrote Tinubu open letter. Say him too na terror sponsor of terrorism. Make we dey look like drama where APC and Bola Tinubu dey script for us, because the timing and the target and sudden accusation they add up. Please, quiet. But anyhow, as law enforcement, they do their work. They watch everything with clear eye. If Malami name, Ex-Agf Malami's name is on the list of alleged terror sponsor, I'm not surprised the way he hates the other regions. And the way Buhari gave him a free hand to do the undoable shows that they have something in common. The day the federal government, nnamdi Kanu, announced it in Hausa, God, honestly. Oh, wow. The names of alleged terrorist sponsors are gradually coming out to Nigeria. What do we have to say? Wicked. If they no go to jail despite their atrocities and treason against Nigeria and Nigerian, the public, against the Nigerian public, it means Nigeria is not a country, but a dystopian society, no value system. So because he left APC and he wants to pursue his constitutional rights in the state, he's now a terrorist financier. Malami, prominent Nigerian to face prosecution for financing terrorism. This was in May. Anyway, they have to prove it. If they prove it, why not? The country has to be free. So this other person here say it is hard to separate real life from politics these days. So until we start seeing real prosecution and long jail sentences, I will be observing. The untouchables that touches everyone, they have destroyed the north and trying hard to extend to south. One Nigeria is their strength. Divide this evil entity. The Yorubas knows that the north is the problem of Nigeria, but they chose to hate and accuse the Igbos for no reason. On Amotekun and headsmen, Malami declared the Southwest Amotekun security outfit unconstitutional, claiming it targeted Fulani headsmen, trying to give access to bandits to carry out their wrong without accountability. So Malami was even against fighting these people. The ex-Agf Malami has been actively dodging the public appearance and waiting for Tinubu's regime to elapse so he can come out to continue his clandestine activities. I have been calling for meticulous screening and investigation of Mr. Malami. Have people noticed how many other news outlets are avoiding this news? This is a piece of news that should shake the very foundation of the country, but they are hoping it will fizzle out and we will all move on as we normally do. A two-star general making grievous allegation of very powerful men who are still alive. We shouldn't let them sweep this under the carpet. We've also known that the powerful people are behind terrorism in Nigeria, but now we have a very senior military officer making allegations and calling names. This should not be swept under the rug. $600 million frozen, 50 million naira bribe rejected, 400 suspects caught. Then everything buried. Investigator jailed 64 days and retired. Same names now running for office or criticizing Tinubu. This is treasonable in Agbada. Reopen the files now. Malami has dedicated his life in fighting against terrorism, but because he wants to contest for election under ADC, this person just keep writing trash. All should be brought to book, face the full wrath of the law. Sahara reporters, would the government act? See, my people, the north is the problem. $1.6 ransom and arms recovered, 1.6 million, as Nigerian troops rescued 10 abducted victims. A poorly written piece, read like what a primary school student wrote, with abbreviation not defined, verbal reportage not properly coded. Sahara reporter writes as just amateur writers. Let the heaven fall. Let the scream politician persecute. Let them scream political persecution. Let them say he's shifting opposition or what. I want these big names arrested. They should not be surprised. They should never be allowed to go free. Tinubu, Woye, Akpabio should prove to Nigerians their seriousness in fighting the menace of prosecuting all involved in destroying this country, even if former president. Bola Tinubu is fishing them out. Arewa cannot scream insecurity or change like they did to Jonathan because Tinubu have their names. If Arewa do anyhow, Tinubu showed them display. Bola Tinubu, many Nigerians will not see this battle you have. Bola Ahmed, many Nigerians will not see the battle you are fighting. Which battle is he fighting? He should fight it when? Some Nigerian politicians, government appointees, army officers are guilty of treason, should be arrested and prosecuted. Tinubu not doing so, so he is complicit. Nigerian leaders are the ones killing Nigerians, enabling, supporting the genocide attacks on Christians. Without U.S. intervention, Nigerians are doomed, whether people want to admit that or not. Anybody that does not know that Malami, Pantami, and Brutai are in the same game is playing ignorance, or choose to be blind. Putting MFLA in this list of sponsor of terrorism is tainted. This is a hatchet job. I don't have any doubt about Ex-Agf Malami, Brutai, Isa Pantami, El-Rufai, and many others. But the government should come straight and name them. US have their intel as well. They should be tried. Ndibo are not ready for the conversation that Abubakar Malami, that rush to proscribe nnamdi Kanu terrorists, is in gaslighting of the actual terror he was planning to before Ndibo. If the claim is true, it means the fight against terrorism has been compromised from within. If they are false, then Nigeria still deserves a clear, independent investigation to restore public confidence. Either way, silent or denial is not an option. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Thank you.